afternoon, dear friends. Nice to meet you. Today we have an unusual lesson. We meet our friend from the United States of America, William Tомпсон. He will be your speaker today. Please listen to him attentively, then ask questions and communicate. Try to do your best.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I'm pleased to be here. I have been in Kropyvnytsky now this month for 6 years. Okay, for 6 years. So I'm very happy to be here, and I'm happy to be here again to be able to share with you this lesson. So this lesson, I picked this lesson because it's very topical in the United States, and it's very important because these days everyone has a camera. So not only do you have the cameras for the patrol cars and you have the body cam, but all the civilians have a camera, and everybody starts recording. They see something, they start recording. Or you get stopped, or somebody wants to talk to you, immediately they start recording their interactions with the police officers. And so I will discuss this from the American law point of view and share, and then hopefully you will teach me a little bit about the rights of a Ukrainian citizen and how this might be the same. Okay? So that's what I'm going to talk about today. A trend in policing, something that every policeman in the field these days faces. I see a lot of stripes. I think that's good, a lot of experience.
The fourth year.
Fourth year, excellent. So this is really important as you're going. Okay, so I'm going to talk about trends in policing. Our mission here at the Window on America program, created an environment that is fun, friendly, and safe for persons of all ages, genders, and culture to share English through interactive conversations. This means, please, I want all of you to share and talk if you have something to add. If you have an opinion, if you disagree, it's okay. Our only rule is we do it politely, okay? You don't have to like what I say, but disagreements, please, we disagree politely, okay? This lecture, this lesson is really about interacting with people who have telephones or recording devices, primarily using the telephone as a recording device, okay? So if we need a few more chairs, just say so, we'll get it. All right, so there's a trend in the United States. This trend, because of some police interactions. You may have heard of George Floyd, a black man who was arrested and detained and held on the ground by police, and they ended up killing him. Okay, they choked him, they put a knee on the throat, and they ended up dying. As a result of that case, there's been a lot of activists out doing what they call First Amendment audits. And these are people who go out and they record police in action, just in case they see something that's going right or wrong, okay? So they're First Amendment audits. Now, some of you may remember in the United States we have a Constitution, and under the Constitution we have amendments. And the first 10 amendments are personal rights. The First Amendment is the right to free speech. Okay, and the right to free speech means I can share my opinion, I can say what I like, I can print what I like, as long as it's not illegal, harmful, okay, or untrue. Okay? Where you get in trouble in First Amendment is if you say something we call it, that is hateful, is the word they use in the interpretation. So under the First Amendment, it's been ruled that people, civilians, have the right to use their camera to film you when you're interacting at a traffic stop, we call it anywhere, or you can film yourself. If, for example, I got stopped the other day out by Drive Fitness Center. I got stopped because I violated a traffic light, and in America I would have had my camera out and then been recording everything, but I didn't do that. I didn't need to do it. I didn't, you know, I have a different view on these audits. The important thing for you to know is that there's a lot of people out there with cameras. Not only do the police have cameras and the buildings have cameras, but civilians have cameras. And as we know, if you do something wrong, the first thing that will happen is you will see it on TV that night. Perhaps you'll see it on TV. So you want to be careful. You want to know what your responsibilities are, how to act, what to do. You can't not be a police person, okay? But you have to know how to act appropriately. And that's what I wanted to discuss today, okay? Citizens, activists. I think I've mentioned all this. Basically, now, it says out there, public spaces, that the public, civilians, can be anywhere that's public, and they can record anywhere that's public. This is a public building. That's a public sidewalk. It's a public street, okay? But they don't have the right to go into private property. They cannot go into my home. They cannot go into someone's cafe, which is private. This is public because this is a government building, okay? Even the police station is considered public property, okay? So when they say they're auditing in public, they have a right to do that. Now, there's some things they don't have a right to do. And this is where, you know, it's important for you to know what the rules are. One of the rules is they cannot interfere with your work. Okay? They can't get too close. They can't offer advice. They can't interact. But if they stand far enough away, they have the right to film. But they do not have the right to interfere with you. And if they do interfere with you, then that becomes part of what we call it your case or your investigation, which is a whole other thing. Okay, so you have many of these activists like to be confrontational, and I'll pull up some questions and show you some examples of how they want to be confrontational. Once again, be prepared, think about this before it occurs, and know what you do. For example, in the United States, it's okay for me to ask a policeman, what's your name, what's your badge number? It's okay, and you have to tell me, okay? Name, badge number. That's an appropriate response. You asking an activist who is auditing, you don't have the right to ask them for their name and information unless you're going to ask them to use their video as witness tape, okay? And that's a catch, that's a caveat. So you don't have the right to ask them, but you can involve them and say, I want to use your tape. I want to use what you're recording in my investigation. Then you can ask them. But you just don't have the right to walk up to anybody and say, what's your name? Yeah, what's your name? What's your name? What's your name?
My name is Meta.
Okay. I'm just using that as an example. the police do not have the right to make people, we're not a police state. We don't have the requirement to identify everyone, you know, like in the movies where you see the Gestapo, you know, give me your papers, or the KGB, you know, show me your papers, show me your past, show me this, show me that. No, you know, those, we don't do that, okay? We don't do that. Okay. So when you ask people for information, number one, always be polite. Even if they're not, always be polite. So you have the activists who like to be confrontational. They're going to claim they have rights. I highly recommend that you know your rights and their rights and responsibilities so that you can interact correctly. Because they might say something, that's my right. Maybe it's not. They have a right, but they can't interfere. They can't get too close. You know, you also, as a law enforcement officer, you have responsibilities and you have rights and responsibilities and policies and procedures. So I'm saying is think about this before you get out there and somebody's yelling at you, because you know nobody likes to be yelled at, especially if you're trying to subdue somebody or get them on the ground, put handcuffs on them, or do something of that nature. That's not the time you need to be worrying about other things. You need to focus, okay? So there will be activists out there. Activists like to be confrontational, okay?
Yeah, he's already getting the tape. Hilarious. Yeah, establish your crime scene, fat boy, and then we'll do whatever you want.
YouTube has brought about this new generation of cop watchers. I'm telling you right now, you want to end up with some of them call themselves First Amendment auditors.
Come on! Here, hold it. Come on! Come arrest me!
Be sort of a fly on the wall and bear witness and hold the police accountable.
Right here. Which one? This one right here or this one?
The story is about a new and very online generation of cop watchers who engage with members of the public and also public servants and mainly police officers, sometimes antagonistic ways, in order to sort of flex their First Amendment freedoms.
You're going to be viral, thank you.
The first organization that was dedicated specifically to cop watching, many people believe, is Berkeley Cop Watch in California. That organization was dedicated to being a witness to police interactions in Berkeley.
He watches my videos.
So you'll see a lot of modern cop watchers and some of the most popular auditors and cop watchers on YouTube filming in ways that many people consider intrusive.
Bye, princess.
Am I being attacked? Yes, you are. 4 or 5. I didn't say you committed a crime, but I have the legal right to detain you for further investigation.
Don't touch me. Don't touch me. Don't. Hey, get off of me. Get off of me.
And then the conversation with that officer, the back and forth, is sort of the draw of the video and the genre.
Staring at me like you're going to do something.
One of the more controversial auditors online is Christopher Ruff. He describes himself as a citizen journalist, and his focus is on impoverished communities where he believes gentrification is happening at a rapid rate, and the police are the tip of the spear of that effort. Christopher Ruff goes out at night, often with an entourage of folks, looking for police interactions. And he films them from up close until the police tell him to move back. And that almost always creates a conflict between him and the officer.
So why are we doing it? Because it's obvious that the police do not know how to do their job correctly. It's outlined in policies, procedures, and the law very specifically over the course of over 100 years we've been doing this.
Christopher and his ilk inspired legislation last year in Arizona that sought to create a concrete distance from which folks could film police.
The new state law announced it makes it illegal to record an officer within 8 feet.
The Reporters Committee for the Free Press sued, and the state's attorney declined to defend the constitutionality of that law. So it is not being enforced in Arizona at this time, but there are a number of states that have written up similar legislation, some of which has passed, some of which is in debate right now, that seek to do many of the same things legislators were trying to do in Arizona.
I just told you I wanted to ask for a PI officer or a public information officer.
I think understanding this new generation of cop watchers and First Amendment auditors gives us a window into how the American public's relationship has changed with policing in the years since George Floyd was killed, and really in the digital age where we've seen this explosion of video that depicts what a police officer's job is like.
A short video, someone else is basically saying what I said, which is it's a problem, and there's a lot of people out there that are trying to be contributors on YouTube, etc. You gotta know they're there. Arizona, where I'm from, as it says, established an 8-foot rule, but it also said nobody's really enforcing it. And besides, how far is 8 feet? Is it this far? Is it this far? It's about 8 feet. 8 feet is pretty close. We've got procedures to follow, things that you have to take into account. So the auditors, you have to give them the benefit of the doubt that they're looking to record what you're doing with an unbiased view. Okay, so you all have body cams when you're on patrol? No? Okay, so you have body cam. That's a good thing. Body cams are a good thing. So you'll have a body cam, but then you also have other people that have cams, and they will be looking for angles, and they will be listening to your words. Okay? They will be listening to your words, especially words which they can use to incite. Okay? And you use words to attack. Okay? Can someone give me some insightful or attacking words?
Some offensive language, you mean, right? Offensive language?
You know, you won't get in trouble here. Freedom of speech. Okay. For example, if I used a racial slur, okay? If I used a racial slur, or if I referred to you, instead of saying women police officers, I referred to you using the B word or something like that. Okay? They're trying to poke you, poke the bear, try to get a reaction. Okay? Will they do it? You bet. Especially if you use it, they'll hear it. Okay? Even if you're just grumbling under your breath, they will hear that. Okay? So provoking words. You Ukrainian, Slavic, alcoholic, worthless bunch of Nazis. Okay? I don't mean that at all, because I heard that on the videos from people in Russia who are trying to justify their invasion.
But they wrote down your words already, I suppose.
Sorry?
They have written down your words already.
Yes, unfortunately. The good news is I haven't run into those problems. But people will use that to provoke you, okay? Your sex, your religion, your the fact that you work for the government, okay? Do you have bad slang for police officer?
A lot of.
For example, when I was growing up, there was police officer, and then there was cop, and then there was fuzz, okay? And each one was, a lower level word, okay? And I would expect someone to be offended if I referred to you in a not polite way. Okay? But all I'm saying is they're doing it intentionally. Okay? So don't let them do that. All right, so how do you pass an audit? Number one thing you do is you know you know the policy, you know how you have to interact, and you, as much as possible, be polite and highly accurate in what you do. Okay? And if there's any questions, for example, one of the things auditors will do is they'll say, I want your supervisor to come now. What do? Get on the phone, the radio, whatever, and say, supervisor or sergeant or somebody, somebody else. Yeah, you're just being polite. You're saying, that's what you want? Okay. You want a supervisor, we'll get a supervisor, no problem. You won't get one like that, the supervisor has to get in a car or find out where you're at, etc. But many of these times, it's, as I said before, it's to be confrontational. It's to say, I don't trust you. I want to talk to your boss. Okay? It's the same as if you go to a hotel and somebody says, I want to see the manager. I don't like this hamburger. I don't like my room. Okay? You just, okay, no problem. You want to see my manager? Fine. You want my supervisor? Fine. You want my name and badge number? Fine. I will be polite in doing it. Okay? That's the best you can do. Be prepared. Realize it. Bite your tongue. Don't say anything. Don't growl. Even if they deserve it. Okay? So we don't practice patience. Patience. Just be, I look at it a lot of times as when I'm dealing with my my Natasha, I just, yes, okay, you're the boss. Whatever you want. Okay? Because you're not going to win the argument. Okay? If you have an argument, you won't win because they're there with the camera just waiting to bait you. Okay? If I can make you mad, I win. Okay? So, recognize that, as I mentioned before, they're looking for you to respond. They're expecting you to respond negatively. That's why you need to be prepared. Think ahead. If you're ready for them, yes, they can be annoying. Yes, they can say horrible things. Yes, it's not a good situation, but don't make it worse. That's all. Just recognize that they're looking for ways to provoke the situation, to take a situation. It's not good. That's why you're there already, right? You're there for domestic violence or a fight at on the corner, or two guys are arguing over some girl. Who knows? But you're there because there's a conflict. Don't make it worse. Don't make it worse. Okay? Now, if someone interferes with you, one of the things that they will say to you is, am I being detained? And you remember that from the video? And the man said, yes, I'm detaining you for my investigation, to further my investigation. That's a legal reason for detaining someone. You can detain a person for a crime. You can detain them as part of the investigation. You can even, ask them to stick around so you can get their film information. Those, are legal things. You cannot detain someone or arrest them unless they physically interfere with your police procedure. If they're just being a jerk, you can't arrest people for being jerks, unfortunately, but that's the way it is. You can put on your happy face and keep on going, okay? But you can't erase people, arrest people for being jerks as much as you'd like to. With the non-lethal, shoot them with a rubber bullet or something. No, you can't do that. All right, so they're looking for reactions. You need to know what they're looking for and be ready to respond with your reactions. What's legal? What's right? What is the correct thing to do? Okay. One of the most important reasons of this, and I learned this actually, it's the same in the schools when I was working as a teacher. If you have a situation and the police get involved, or an officer gets involved, you got about 5 hours worth of paperwork to do. So don't make your job harder by doing something inappropriate. Because all of that paperwork that you have to file as a teacher, students wanting to fight, etc., is that I don't want to stay here till 7 o'clock at night. I don't want to have to go to court to say, he threw the first punch, even though he said something really bad, but he threw the first punch. So who's guilty? I don't want to be sitting there filling out paperwork till all hours of the night. And to me, that is one of the biggest things. If you can avoid unnecessary paperwork as an officer of the law, you're saving your time, okay? Your time, not my time, your time. Take care of your own time. So remember, every time you want to get even, what it's going to cost you? A lot of paperwork and having to explain. Okay, so in the reactions, think about that. Okay, I remember there's 2 kids, both of them, very large kids, 7th grade, okay, 7th form. And these 2 kids, they're getting ready to duke it out. Right in the middle of the classroom, and that was my thought. It was like 3:30 in the afternoon, and that was my thought is, oh my God, I'm going to be here till 8 o'clock tonight. The police are going to come, they're going to do this investigation, and then the parents are going to come, and I'm going to sue you, and and my goal at that moment was, how do I get these people apart without a fight? How do I de-escalate the situation and not cause myself personal problems or further problems or investigations and police and parents and all that? Believe me, I was really happy at 5 o'clock when I got in my car and got to leave the school, because neither one of those boys threw a punch at each other or me. We got the situation handled. I got to go home and do what I wanted to do, which was to be with my family. Okay, instead of staying there and filling out forms and having somebody, and where was he standing, and where was he standing, and where were the rest of the kids, and what was happening when this was going on. Oh, that was a very, very, that's one of my most, I'd say, one of the moments that I was most proud of in the classroom was being able to de-escalate a situation, okay? Because 1, nothing bad happened. 2, I didn't waste my time, okay? So sometimes that's all we're looking to do. When you get in a situation where somebody's trying to provoke you or someone else, it's the best thing we can do. Get everybody to calm down. Okay? So you stay calm, get them to stay calm, and later on you can go home and whatever you do to release energy, go home, work out. You can do that, but it's a whole lot easier to work out than it is to fill out paperwork. Okay, whole lot easier. Yeah, I hate paperwork. Okay, about that. All right, criticism. You will face criticism as part of what's going on. People will critique you. They'll, as I just mentioned, they'll say bad words. They'll say you used poor technique. They'll say you could have done things the other way. Just know, the most important thing, know in your heart that you tried to do the right thing. Okay? If you know what the law is, and you know what your rights are and their rights are, you can do the right thing. If you know you did the right thing, then it doesn't matter if they don't like your shoes for being the wrong color of black. Okay? Or, you know, all the silly things that they will do and say. So just expect criticism, but don't take it personally. If you do right, if you know what you're doing and you do right, you win. In your heart, you win. Right? Okay, so I brought up here some confrontational statements. Am I being detained? Okay, that's one of the first things people will say. Am I being detained? Who do you have the right to detain? Anybody? Who can you detain?
Criminal.
A criminal, someone who's doing something wrong. You have a right to do that, but you don't have a right to detain a jerk. Okay? Am I being detained? The answer, of course, is no. And why do you want to say no? Because if they're not detained, that means they can go. Okay? You're not asking them to stay around, because that's half the time they're asking that question. Am I being detained? No. You can leave. You're free to go. Okay. Who is in, I'm sorry, I mistyped that. Who is in charge? Okay. Usually you have a senior officer on scene. Somebody is a senior person, and just know who that is. You know. Whoever that is. And if they want a supervisor, okay, we can do that. What is your name? I think I've covered this before. What is your name and badge number? Officer. In Arizona, if someone asks you that question, a policeman will answer. My badge number is. I'm with Maricopa County Sheriff's Department. My badge number is 67193. My name is William Thompson. That's Thompson without a P. Okay. That's like in the military, name, rank, and serial number. If you're a prisoner of war, there's some information you can give, and the rest of it, who cares, right? So somebody asks you, you tell them. Okay. It's not a secret. They can read it on your, what do you call it? If I got close enough to you, I bet I could read it on your badge. Okay? Do you have numbers on your badge?
And they have the names also.
Okay. Yeah, so I can read
the numbers and the names.
Yeah. But you don't want to have somebody standing right there. Okay? So if you were to ask me, I want to keep you there. I'm more than happy to tell you what my name and badge number is. Okay? Because I don't want to get you here, because now we're in, danger zone. Okay. Is this public property? We covered that. Because they will say they have the right. I'm on a sidewalk, I'm this, I'm whatever. And you can say, yes, you're on public property. Yes, you have the right to be an auditor. But you must stay a safe distance away. Okay? Don't interfere with my investigation. But take all the pictures you want, please. We've covered this. Sometimes people, even people that you stop for doing a crime, will tell you they don't have to identify themselves, which is not true. if you stop someone for doing a crime, you say, you have to tell them why, but they are responsible for telling you, who they are. So like I said, this is not a Gestapo thing. I can't just walk down the street and say, who are you, who are you, who are you, who are you, okay? But if you have a reason, they do have to give you the information. But they'll ask these questions in a confrontational meeting, am I being detained? Why? What's the charge? You want, why do you need, I don't have to give you my name. Or they'll, as the case used before, they'll interfere by yelling at the person you're trying to subdue and say, you don't have to tell them your name. They'll become street lawyers. Okay, that's interfering. Okay, they don't have the right to do that. Besides, most of the time, they're wrong anyway. Okay, I'm not interfering with your arrest or investigation. That's up to you to determine. For example, if it's an accident in the middle of the street, they don't have the right to put themselves or other people in danger. Okay, and if it's in a crowded, we call it crowded situation, like for example up at the train station or something, they don't have a right to crowd in. Okay, you have a right to establish what do you call it, your perimeter, your crime perimeter, and say, you can be anywhere you want outside this area. Okay. That helps you and them, by the way, as you can imagine. Okay, so I'm not interfering, and I know my rights. You're violating my rights. Do you know your rights? Do you know their rights? Chances are a lot of those people who say that, they don't really know their rights. They just make noise. We have our basic rights in America, free speech, freedom to bear arms, free to, we call it rapid trial, freedom from self-incrimination. We have these basic freedom from unreasonable search and seizure. Okay, these are our rights. Most of the time, when you're trying to detain a rule breaker, the rest of those things don't matter because you're not trying to go to somebody else's house. You're not trying to go in their pockets, and empty out their pockets and try to see if they have anything. You're focused on the crime. Everything outside the crime, yes, they have rights. Their rights start at they're part of the public and they have a right to be an observer, okay, but not interfere. Okay.
And what about the case when the police have the arrest warrant or the search warrant?
If the police have a search warrant, then
or the arrest warrant, what will people say in this situation?
Sometimes people will be confrontational. Sometimes people will say, I want to get my lawyer here. And as the police officer executing a warrant, you don't have, your right is, you don't have to wait for their lawyer. You're legal. You have the right to do this.
If they have warrant, they have all the rights, yes?
Yes, you have the right to do things. And they do not have the right to interfere. Okay? If a man says, I want to call my lawyer, you say, fine, call your lawyer. I want my lawyer to be here, fine, send him. But you don't have to wait. Okay? You have the proper papers to do that. Yeah. So as long as you have know what your rights and responsibilities and tasks are, and if you follow these simple guidelines, then all of the noise, you're violating my rights, you can't do this, you can't do that. It is, okay. Please, stand over there. We'll get to that later. All right. But for right now, this is my focus.
Okay.
Okay? So, you're a public police officer. You have a responsibility not only for this crime, but to protect everybody else. That's pretty, when you think about it, that's pretty responsible. Especially in, we call it today, when people are terrorists and have weapons, and we call it bring arms back from the war, and bring hand grenades. And we had one recently in Arizona where they found a mother. We all went to the police station and said, I don't know what these things are, but they're all over my son's bedroom. And they're the Claymore mines. They're the anti-personnel mines that, for killing. Okay? He had no right to them. It's military equipment. It's dangerous. Okay? And she walks in and says, what's this? It scared a lot of people. But they investigated. They found it. They got it taken care of. That's one where it ended up, this person was in the reserves and was stealing, taking from, on the reserve duty, was taking some of this military hardware to their house. Can you imagine a brother or sister or a mother killed because you took something like that to your house? That would be creepy. Okay. Anyway, so confrontation. All right, so the United States, in the United States, there's been a number of legal cases, and the United States says auditors are legal, and they do have the right to film this with certain restraints and constraints, which I just talked about. You do have the freedom of speech, you do have the freedom of the press. You can take your information, you can put it on YouTube. You won't be arrested for that or put it in the thing. Unreasonable searches means just because you have videos and post them on YouTube, I can't come to your house and look in your computer unless I have a search warrant, which would give me probable cause. Okay, you just can't just go do something. All right. I mentioned this. Do you have, educate me please, do you have this, we call it the Miranda rights. When you stop someone and you're going to charge them, do you have to read them their rights?
Yeah.
Okay, so you have statement?
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. So we call it, it's called Miranda in the United States because that was the Supreme Court, Miranda versus the state of California, the precedents that requires all police personnel to read people their rights, explain them to them, this is your rights, do you understand them? And if you don't, we'll help you out, okay? Because all the other freedoms, come after that, like searching and freedom of speech and self-incrimination, et cetera, et cetera. Okay? So I think we talked about all that. It's been clearly established. There's the case Gilkey versus Caniff. It said that within certain restrictions that you have a right to film in public, and this is your First and Fourth Amendment right. Okay, so basically, it's legal for them to film you. Live with it. Know what to do. All right. Remain in a public place. Do what the officers request of you. know what is right, know how to respond properly, and translations. Cameras are here forever. Live with it. Okay, they're going to be here. So you're going to have to figure out how to do the right thing all the time. Okay, you just can't. I'll give you another example from my previous life. When I was in the military, there was a bunch of people who worked for the county sheriff, and they would take the big flashlights, okay, the really big flashlights that had like 6 or 7 batteries in them, and they called that their equalizer. They would use that to hit the person, or, for example, they would walk up by the person's car, and they would hit the back lights in the car, and I'm stopping you because your tail light's broken. Okay, that was legal cause. That's illegal, what they were doing. But they were proud of it, and they were proud to talk about it. I thought, this is crazy. You're here in public telling people that it's okay to hit people with your flashlights, and it's okay to damage their car. That in itself is criminal. Okay, first, if you hit them, that's assault. 2, if you hit their car, that's criminal and you're liable for it. It doesn't matter if you've got a police officer uniform on, whether you're a county sheriff or local police or whatever you are. Okay, so.
It was a good quality of flashlight.
Sorry?
It was a good quality of flashlight, not Chinese one like a lot of.
Yeah, it was the big heavy metal case ones. They had the what do they call it, the D-cell batteries. Have 6 D-cells, and it weighs like maybe 5 pounds. You could hurt somebody with that. So it wasn't funny, in my opinion. Okay, so it's your time to talk. What are the local policies here? You guys cover this in any of your training? Anybody? Yes? No? Maybe? Do you guys practice patrolling?
Sometimes they do.
I see you guys all over the place, out by Dendro Park and whatnot.
Question. Можно перевод? Можно перевод?
Patrolling. Did you take part in patrolling here in the city of Katowice?
Yes. Every Friday.
Every Friday?
Yes.
Okay. And do people film you?
No. Sometimes.
Sometimes. Okay. So you know exactly what I'm talking about. Yeah. And is it necessary that they film you? No, they just do it.
Cadets, what is your reaction for filming you?
Fine. Discomfort.
No reaction.
Absolutely normal.
What'd you say?
Bad reaction.
Yeah, so it's, most of us would not want to do it. Not that we're thinking about doing bad, but it puts us in an uncomfortable position. And so the reason I'm covering all this is so when you get in an uncomfortable position, you can say, oh, I remember, I have these options. I can do these things. Okay? Has anybody had to handle such a situation?
Can I ask you a question?
Sure, please.
Just there can be such situation that there is an accident and you call the police and the person who works in police is your acquaintance. So what should be the reaction of this police officer for the person whom they know? Just maybe you can help us with this situation.
Well, most of the time we're going to run into people we know. People who we go to school with, live in our neighborhoods, etc. And that's when the first thing we must think of is what is the professional thing to do. First, what is the problem and what is the right thing to do for now? You know, you can help. Sometimes you can help somebody later on, but if there's an accident that involves somebody you know, the first thing you want is, I want everybody to be safe. I want everybody to get medical attention. I want the accident scene to be controlled. Okay? So that's the professionalism. And then, if it's a friend or something and they need counseling, you know, they want me to call their wife or their boyfriend or something, you know, and then you can help people. But first you're a professional. Okay? It's the same in the military. First you're a professional. Always a professional. You do what's right first.
The rules and the law, yes, first of all.
Yeah. Do your job. Do your job to the best of your ability. Then you can help as much as you want. Great question. Okay? Because every one of us is going to know people that I'm laughing, okay? And the reason I'm laughing is, so, 25 years ago, I'm in the military, I'm growing up, I'm a captain or something like that, and we call it, they're doing an investigation, and they want to know who my brothers are and where they live, etc. And I had a brother who was very much on the wrong side of the law. Okay, he was involved in drugs. He was involved, you know, very much on the bad side of drugs. And he came to me and said, "How can you know this person and not use drugs?" You know, but it comes down to I was always a professional. I did what I was supposed to do. My brother, he's crazy. He did his thing, but I'm not responsible for my brother. So yeah, we know people who do things that are wrong. We know friends that have problems. Most important thing, do your job. Do your job correctly. So that's what I had for you today, was a discussion on cameras. So cameras are there. Right? Be ready for them. Know what to do. Think about what you would do. How would you react? Okay, don't wait till the last minute. What am I going to do? You might even want to practice, okay, with your friends or something. Just think about it sometime when you're doing some exercise. That's all I had for you today, was this discussion, because this is, you can go on American YouTube and you can probably type in First Amendment auditors and you'll get 100 short videos. I hope not to see you guys there. Questions? Sure.
What policeman officer gonna do if people say to him swear words?
That's a great question. In the United States, unfortunately, it has been decided that in the courts that people swearing at you is their First Amendment right, and you can't do anything.
You can't.
You just
They can do
You don't like it, but you can't do anything about it. It's so if they call you a dirty cop, or if they call you an F word, or a B word, or a C word, or whatever words they choose, it's unfortunate, but it's stupid isn't illegal. Any other questions? Well, thank you very much for coming, and I hope we can do it again sometime.
Thank you very much. We appreciate your job.